What common sense is actually wrong? If you're passionate about what you do, you won't work a day in your life. Wrong. It's still really hard work even though you enjoy it. And to make matters worse, you might work so hard to the point where you end up hating the thing you loved. Tilt your head back during a bloody nose. You should spend 2 months' wages on an engagement ring, is a marketing slogan. Don't trust someone who won't look you in the eyes. Having social anxiety doesn't make you a bad person, and sociopaths have no problem staring you down. That people are good eyewitnesses. We aren't. Our perception of things sucks. We are prone to so many biases that we aren't even aware of. If I grade papers on an empty stomach, I will grade them lower than if I am not hungry. And I will never admit that to be true, even though it is. Do not, ever, wait 24 hours before filing a missing persons report. If you have a reasonable suspicion that something happened to someone, call immediately. In medical school we're taught that common things are common, and that, when you hear hooves, think horses not zebras, meaning that we should always assume the most obvious diagnosis. Medical students almost always jump to the rarest disease when taking multiple choice tests or when they first go out into clinical rotations and see real patients.
The harder you brush, the cleaner your teeth get.
All you're gonna do is cause gum recession. Opposites attract in regards to relationships. Most of the time, they do not. Probably not the answer you're looking for, but the notion that darker roasts of coffee are higher in caffeine content. They're not. The caffeine gets cooked out the longer you roast the coffee bean. The lighter the roast, the higher the caffeine content. Just because you're not fat doesn't mean you're in good shape. You don't need to wait 30 minutes before going swimming after eating. This was just invented by public pools to stop people bringing food into the water. Put ice on a burn. Do not do this, it can rip the skin. Do put the burn under cool water immediately. Common sense says sun isn't out and it is cool outside. You don't have to worry about sunburns. Worst sunburn I ever got. Good place to spend an hour learning about all the things you thought were true but aren't. Greater than it is rarely necessary to wait 24 hours before filing a missing person report. Greater than, despite being referenced commonly in culture 184,185 and society at large, 186,187,188. The idea that Victorian-era doctors invented the vibrator to cure female hysteria via triggering orgasm is a product of a single work 189 rejected by most historians. 184188190. Greater than, when a meteor or spacecraft enters the atmosphere, the heat of entry is not primarily caused by friction, but by adiabatic compression of air in front of the object. Greater than, there is no such thing as an alpha in a wolf pack. An early study that coined the term alpha wolf had only observed unrelated adult wolves living in captivity. In the wild, wolf packs operate more like human families. There is no defined sense of rank. Parents are in charge until the young grow up and start their own families. Younger wolves do not overthrow an alpha to become the new leader, and social dominance fights are situational. Greater than, drowning is often inconspicuous to onlookers. 322. In most cases, raising the arms and vocalizing are impossible due to the instinctive drowning response. 322. Greater than, exercise-induced muscle soreness is not caused by lactic acid buildup. Greater than, water-induced wrinkles are not caused by the skin absorbing water and swelling. 340. They are caused by the autonomic nervous system, which triggers localized vasoconstriction in response to wet skin, yielding a wrinkled appearance. 34132. Greater than, alcohol does not necessarily kill brain cells. 361. Alcohol can, however, lead indirectly to the death of brain cells in two ways: one in chronic, heavy alcohol users whose brains have adapted to the effects of alcohol. Abrupt cessation following heavy use can cause excitotoxicity leading to cellular death in multiple areas of the brain. 3622. In alcoholics who get most of their daily calories from alcohol, a deficiency of thiamine can produce Korsakoff's syndrome, which is associated with serious brain damage. 363. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Psychologists actually showed that it's the reverse, which is why LDR are very hard. Out of sight, out of mind, is more accurate. When I worked in spectator event safety, we learned, sports stadia, that when an evacuation is happening, the safest place to go to is the playing field, as it is usually open air and therefore low risk if it is a fire evacuation. However, common sense takes over crowd dynamics and people try leaving the way they came in, from the other side of the building, so this common sense trait results in thousands of people flocking into burning buildings. An example of this was the Bradford City Stadium fire. A huge chunk of the crowd headed back into the burning stadium looking for exits despite open air, the pitch being meters in front of them. If you're in a relationship but develop feelings for someone else, break up with them, because if you truly loved them, you wouldn't love the second person. Bullshit. Don't cheat, don't have an emotional affair, but figure out what's going on in your heart and your head before throwing away a loving relationship over a crush. One size does not fit all. Editing to include some good points of clarification made by other peeps. The point of this post is to say that before you started dating you had a crush on them. You didn't know where it was going, but you started dating to find out, and it turned into a relationship. Interest is not the same as a relationship. But it's totally possible to have interest in people even when you're in a relationship, and it doesn't mean you should 100% end the relationship when this happens, because it could mean literally nothing. That's for you to decide. Also, talking to your partner is important. That's what I did when it became too confusing, and I wish I'd talked to them sooner. They're human too, right? Or aliens, I don't know you, and even if they haven't experienced it, they should understand it. Yes, it sucks to be the in this situation, but it would suck more if you insisted your girlfriend of 2 years leave you because she thinks the new guy at work is cute. What you do about your feelings is vastly more important than your feelings themselves. Also, just so I stop getting this comment, polyamorous relationships are a thing. When you see an emergency vehicle with sirens on behind you, you should always slow down and move to the lane or shoulder to your right. This is exactly what you should do on city roads, but on the highway, you should never brake for an emergency vehicle unless they're pulling you over or you're slowing for a stopped vehicle. Braking in front of an ambulance just slows them down and creates traffic jams. Maintain your speed and get your signal on and merge as soon as you can. And for God's sakes, stop slamming on your brakes to avoid a speeding ticket when you see a cop. Just take your lead foot off the gas and slow naturally. Driving with y'all is scary. The customer is always right. Fuck no, they aren't. Ignore a bully and they'll leave you alone. No, they just see a weak target. If you're in a city that has a big issue with traffic congestion, widening the freeway isn't going to make it better, and it might actually make it worse thanks to induced demand. If you've been stabbed or impaled by an object, for the love of God, leave it in. While that object is in your body, it's essentially plugging the leak. It could be puncturing a major vessel or organ. The second you remove it, that plug is gone, and you are going to bleed internally like crazy. Just seek medical help. That birds will abandon their chicks if the chicks are handled by humans. Not they won't. Put the baby bird back. If you are stern with the person, retail worker, food worker, whatever, you will get what you want. We are more likely to bend over backwards to help you out if you are polite and kind, and not real likely to do it if you come in assuming your time is more important than ours, or that the world revolves around you. Like and subscribe to support this bot and its future development.